Welcome, esteemed students of Hillman Talk University, to our final session of Womanist Capitalism. Over the past 6 weeks, we've journeyed together from critiquing the foundations of white patriarchal capitalism to reimagining economic systems through a womanist lens. We've explored the overlooked contributions of women of color, analyzed workplace challenges for contemporary workers. We've defined womanist capitalism and developed strategies for personal wealth and legacy creation. Today, we conclude with a powerful capstone project, Womanist Capitalism in Practice, Sacred Strategy for Scaling Impact. This lesson brings everything together by addressing how we can expand our vision without compromising our values. So let us begin with wisdom from Audre Lorde. And she writes, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. These words remind us that our economic work requires courage, the courage to imagine and implement alternatives to dominant systems, even when the path forward isn't entirely clear. I invite you now to join me in a brief centering practice, a box breath, to align our minds and hearts before we proceed. So I want you to inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. As we breathe together, let us set an intention. I am committed to liberating myself and others through sacred strategy. So when we discuss scaling in conventional business contexts, it typically refers to rapid growth, increased market share, and maximize profits at any cost. But what does scaling mean in womanist terms? Rather than simply growing big, womanist scaling focuses on deepening impact and expanding justice. It asks, how can our economic activities create more healing, more liberation, and more community power? How can our success generate collective rather than merely individual benefit? And as Bell Hooks reminds us, we need a mass-based feminist movement. Let me repeat that. We need a mass-based feminist movement that is rooted in love. Likewise, we need economic models that scale through love rather than exploitation. So in practical terms, womanist scaling involves the intentional alignment of 4 elements: values, systems, community, and leadership. When these elements work in harmony, growth becomes not just financially sustainable, but spiritually and socially regenerative. This approach rejects the false binary that suggests we must choose between meaningful impact and economic viability. Instead, it demonstrates how depth and breadth can grow simultaneously when rooted in womanist principles. So to implement this vision of scaling, we must ensure spiritual and strategic alignment in all aspects of our work. This means deliberately choosing systems that reflect our values rather than unconsciously adopting tools and methods that undermine them. Consider how you might incorporate collaborative technology that fosters connection rather than isolation and competition. Time blocking that honors rest and regeneration, not just productivity. Automation that reduces drudgery without dehumanizing interactions. This alignment represents what Patricia Hill Collins calls visionary pragmatism, the practice of dreaming while building, of holding transformative vision while taking concrete steps towards its realization. So when your systems align with your values, scaling doesn't require compromise. In fact, growth can deepen rather than dilute your commitment to womanist principles, as larger reach creates more opportunities to embody your values in action. The question becomes not how big can we get, but how can our growth create more liberation for more people? When this question guides our scaling strategy, expansion becomes an expression of purpose rather than a distraction from it. Perhaps the most radical aspect of womanist scaling is the integration of outrageous generosity as a core business strategy. This doesn't mean giving until you're depleted or giving from an empty well. That would violate the principles of sustainability. Rather, it means building generosity into your economic model from the ground up. This might include scholarship programs that make your offerings accessible to those with limited financial resources, profit sharing that distributes gains among all who contributed to creating them, paying interns and fairly compensating all labor, refusing to extract free work from those with less power. As Thomas Piketty's research demonstrates, inequality widens when resources are hoarded. Outrageous generosity disrupts this pattern, creating legacy that closes gaps rather than widening them. When generosity becomes strategic rather than merely sentimental, it transforms from an occasional charitable act into a consistent force for economic redistribution and community wealth building. I'd like for us to reflect again together on two questions that help us translate these concepts into our own context. First, what does success look like when it's not capitalist, but communal? How might we redefine metrics of achievement beyond individual profit or status? Second, how can your business or brand scale without selling out your spirit? What non negotiable values must remain intact regardless of size or reach? Take a moment to consider those questions. I'll read them again. What does success look like when it's not capitalist but communal? How might we redefine metrics of achievement beyond individual profit or status? How can your business or brand scale without selling out your spirit? What non negotiable values must remain intact regardless of size or reach? So, jot down your thoughts, share on the discussion board. I think they're important for helping us to grow and evolve our economic practices. So, thank you for all of those of you who added something to the discussion board. And as we conclude both today's session and our course as a whole, I leave you with these powerful words from Audre Lorde. My silences has not protected me. Your silence will not protect you. Speak, scale, sow. Speak, scale, sow. Speak, scale, sow, because your work is sacred. The economic vision you've developed throughout this course isn't just theoretical. It's a practical pathway toward liberation for yourself and your family and your community. You now have both the analytical frameworks to understand systems of oppression and the practical tools to create alternatives. I want to express my deepest gratitude for your engagement, vulnerability, and commitment throughout these 6 weeks. The questions you've asked, the insights you've shared, and the community we've built together give me tremendous hope for the economic transformations we can collectively create. Please know that this conclusion isn't an ending, but a beginning. Your womanist capitalism practice will continue to evolve, and I remain available as a resource on that journey. You can always find me on Hillman Talk or reach me directly at my email address below or my telephone number. I encourage you to take one concrete step this week. Write your sacred scale plan. Identify one system you'll implement, one value you'll prioritize, and one community impact goal you'll pursue. And practice outrageous generosity in some form, however small. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your brilliance. Thank you for your commitment to reimagining capitalism through a womanist lens. May your capitalistic practices become powerful expressions of liberation and love. Thank you.